guys? Welcome to episode 4, Keeping It Real podcast. Today I got a very special guest, Matt from Millennials Choice. Thank you, Matt, for doing this.
Thanks for having me. You guys got a great setup here. I'm very excited. I can't believe this is your first office. That's what Joey was telling me. It looks like People's Forever office, so I can't wait to see where you guys go.
It's the first one, and we decided to shoot our pods here because we got the feature wall.
Love it.
And then I actually saw your podcast, and I was like, I got to get you on here because, like, you know how many podcasts we see, and they're like, some people are just like saying crap just to get like FaceTime here.
Yeah.
But with yours, it's real. Like, I feel like people will get a lot of lessons from what you can say.
We were gonna rename. So little exclusive. We're splitting the channel.
Okay.
So there's gonna be a division for the real estate stuff, and then a division for the special guest stuff, because that is really taking off now.
Yep.
And so the algorithm, and you want to make sure that it's consistent with the content you're creating. So, I mean, it's one of those things where you just want to make sure you're consistent with it. So we're splitting the channels. We were going to rename it Real Talks or something like that with a special guest. So I don't know if somebody wants to take that name. It's available. But yeah, no, I love this. It's raw. Even your show, no questions, just show up.
Yeah, everything. We don't have a script. We just go off the top of my head. And listen, we keep it real.
That's what it is. Yeah.
And so I saw on Instagram, Bet David, he actually reached out to you. Tell us about that. Was pretty
Patrick
cool.
is, that's my people's, right? He came from Iran. My parents came from Iraq. We're still that Christian minority. Those are my people's. But he's somebody that we look up to in business, like a guy who came from nothing, struggled, worked his way up, just bought a minority share of the New York Yankees. That's huge, like huge news.
He actually owns it.
Wow. He just announced it like a few days ago on his Instagram.
Just tell him to try to buy the Blue Jays.
Right? We'll buy the Blue Jays.
One day.
We'll be that guy
let's
here.
Do it.
Yeah. But so that's an inspiration. We always wanted him on the pod. One of our good friends from Money Buys Happiness, Ernesto and Anthony.
Okay.
Those two, I don't know if you heard of them. Great guys. Shout out to Money Buys Happiness. They just interviewed him. Killer interview, and we want him on. He speaks to all of us. He speaks to the entrepreneurs, speaks to the guys that have good values, morals, especially with what's going on in the world today.
Sure.
We want him on the pod.
So what did you do? You just reached out to him on a DM and said, "Hey"?
Ironically, I don't use Instagram DM as often. Like I don't really use it as often. I try to find their emails. I try to find, sometimes I go on their website, I'll register I'm looking for a product or something, and I'll register. And then in the message area, I'll put like, hey, I have my own show. Here's a link to it. I want to get you on the show. So I try everything, bro.
Right, that's it.
I try LinkedIn. I have a big LinkedIn. I try to message them on LinkedIn. He did respond to me on LinkedIn.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of celebrities, they don't really read the DMs because on Instagram sometimes they think it goes to like junk or something.
That's why.
Right?
And I know now.
We message a lot. We try to get athletes on. Like I tried to get that new guy, Grady Dick, on.
Oh, yeah?
But the Raptors, he just got picked up.
They don't open the DM.
No, I guess they don't open it or.
Well, now you pay for the verification. Like I'm not gonna lie, I paid for the verification more recently.
Yeah.
But in hopes of getting a bit more noticed, and I'm not gonna lie, it works. If you use it, if you start commenting on these people that have bigger pages, I'm getting replies now, whereas before I wouldn't.
Just because of the blue check mark.
I think so.
Wow.
Nothing else has changed. So I know my buddy calls me a sellout. I'm like, bro, trust me. It pains me to pay for this. I don't want to pay for this.
What do they charge you? Like $20?
$20 a month.
A month? Oh, so like $240
bro.
a year.
Bro, that's a Netflix subscription plus something, right?
Yeah.
But it works, right? So if you use it for business, it's a write-off.
Right.
$240 a year.
Yeah.
And use it. Be smart about it. I'm not getting it to say I'm verified. I could care less if I'm verified or if you're verified.
Just do it for interaction.
Yeah.
Smart. Yeah. So talk to me about these cash flow hats. What's the meaning behind it?
Cash flow, everybody likes to talk about cash flow.
Yeah.
But from when I was growing up in the business, like I was licensed at 19. So
for your real estate license.
My first license, 19. I bought my first condo and then got licensed after that. I bought my first pre-construction condo. But I didn't have a real good sense of what cash flow was. I didn't even know what a mortgage broker was, let alone getting a mortgage. I wasn't even in real estate yet. So I started learning about cash flow, and a lot of people buy these ugly homes that they're not going to go up in value as much, or they're not going to resell. Their goal is just to rent, refinance, repeat, right? And cash flow is the game. And I get that, but I have to like what I'm buying, if that makes sense. If I'm going to buy a property, I want to like it. That doesn't mean I'm going to live in it. I just want something that is, going to open up my doors for a lot of buyers later on.
Something you find value to.
Yeah. Well, sure. I always operate with that end game in sight. So what's the end goal here? Am I going to flip it one day? Possibly. And if I flip it, I want the most amount of eyes on my property. You're wearing a sweater with an eye on it, so it's suitable. Most amount of eyes on the property, most amount of buyers. I want the most amount of demand.
Sure, of course.
So if I get an ugly property, it limits that.
Right.
Right. So, but here's the thing: those people that were pushing this, they were cash flowing on those deals, but they couldn't sell. They couldn't get out of that deal.
Where was this condo?
The one I bought was in Maple, Ontario. Okay. I still own it today. Fast forward now, 12 years later.
Nice.
12 years in August.
And you rent it out?
I rented it. I lived in it at first.
Okay.
When my mom kicked me out of the house. I lived in it at first for a few months, and then I rented it out.
Nice.
Yeah, my parents just didn't understand what we were doing.
And so you build the portfolio, and that's essentially why cash flow.
Yes. Yeah, because now the cash flow is... So what people miss in real estate, it's always like about today. Millennials, especially lazy people that don't want to work for it, don't want to put in the work. They want to think about today. Instant gratification, microwave results, right? But they miss the compound effect.
Right.
So 5 to 7 years usually, right? And then there's this compound effect.
Like nobody has patience.
Nobody has patience. So I've kept every single one of my properties with the exception of one of them that I sold in February of 2022 to move to get some capital in order to move into our primary residence, my wife and I.
Okay.
Because we're starting a family. We got married.
So you need a bigger house. So.
Yeah, I wanted to free up the capital. So I flipped my second ever property I purchased, a townhouse, made $600K on it before capital gains.
Yeah,
right?
Of course.
But still, $600K. And I remember selling those units. I remember selling those units in 2014, and people were just knocking on the area, knocking on, townhouses for $390K. And now those people that knew about it look back and say, I wish we bought 5 of those or 10 of those. Right. Yeah, but you were scared.
Of course. There's a lot. Going back to my last podcast, fear and greed. Those are the two things that everyone rides on.
Yep, absolutely.
Right. So, and then let me ask you this: do you think there's going to be a crash in the near future? Like, a lot of talk about an actual housing crash, like Wall Street just shorting the Canadian market.
Yeah.
Do you think, like, I know you say long term, but do you think in the short term there's going to be that little hiccup?
So when we talk about crash, we're thinking prices come down, right?
Correct.
That's what we're talking about.
And I would say crash like more than 25%.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of saw that last year already. So, I mean, is it bound to happen? Yes. Markets go up and down all the time. Is there a supply issue? Yes. Are there 100 other issues to worry about? Yes. Is there a lot of uncertainty in the US dollar? Yes. We're getting so much information coming at us that it's one thing after the other. If it's not a pandemic, it's climate change. If it's not climate change, it's a war. If it's not the war, it's a famine. It's whatever it is. We're getting so much stuff coming in at us. But here's the thing. It's always been like that. We just have our phones now and we're glued to them, and anybody could say something, make a statement, get noise, get loud.
And you think it's real.
You think it's real. So do I think something's going to happen in the short term? Yes, only because the reality is, let's look at the numbers. There are a lot of Canadians. We're talking Canadian market.
Only Canadian
market. Even in the U.S., but there's a lot of Canadians whose mortgage are coming up for renewal.
Right.
Now, their rates are going to, are going to be triple from what they might have had or double what they might have had. People like us will wake up, go to work, go work harder, call more people, stay late, and make that money up if that happened to us.
Right.
Not everyone could do that. Not everyone does that.
Especially a 9 to 5. Like
especially that. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
So, I mean, we'll see how those things play out. I don't know if it's going to be as big of a crash as people are saying, unless that once in a lifetime event happens. Maybe it is the reserve currency of the world changing. Something like that happens. We have to live through that.
It's actually happening.
It's happening. And
it's scary.
It is because we've never gone through it.
And the reports are like, overnight your cash can be gone. Your cash can be worthless.
Overnight,
like,
it's inflation.
I think they did it in Europe, where like some countries it went from 2 to 1, and it's like half of my money's gone.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, these are the realities of the times we're living in. So I just say to people today, I say this to my best friend, I say it to my mom, I say it to my clients, needs versus wants. Don't go out there and lease out that car that you don't need.
Right.
Don't go out there and buy that bag that you don't need. Just focus on your needs, right? If you
be
want
a little conservative,
be super conservative
for the until we ride the wave here. until we see what happens.
We don't know what's going to happen. Maybe holding the assets is going to make a lot of sense, because if cash is worthless, what if now the currency of value or the mode of trade becomes Bitcoin, or becomes meat, or becomes whatever? And and in order to get that, I'm going to trade my real estate for that. Because who said I have to trade my real estate in Canadian dollars?
You don't.
I don't.
Right.
Right.
So that's why real estate, they say it all the time, real estate's the best investment.
Yeah.
They're not building more land. It's whatever's there.
Yeah.
Maybe they're building on the land, but they're not building the land.
And we have so much red tape. Like, we have so much 100%. Red tape. Like, it's this weird relationship between our local governments here, our provincial government, and then the federal government. And there's so much red tape in between.
You know why there's red tape though, right? It's control.
Oh, it's all about control.
It's all control and money.
The reality is, guys, I don't know how you vote, but when there's a liberal government in power, real estate prices go up. That's what's been happening, because they limit supply.
Yeah, but we have a conservative government right now on the provincial scale.
On the provincial side,
and now that we're talking about it, if we want to get real, it's like, I think the red tape is because they only want the certain few to actually build. It's harder for a small-time guy to go through the red tape because it's going to burn more cash to get there. But the bigger guys, they just wash that, no problem.
Yeah, that happens for sure. And when rates go up, what people don't, they forget, it's like they know that their mortgage payment goes up.
Right.
But let's talk about new inventory, right? The cost to build goes up automatically as rates go up. Even if the price of lumber or steel comes back down to where it was, which it has kind of stabilized, even though it went up insane amounts throughout these last 2 years. When rates go up, the cost of borrowing for these guys goes up. These builders go up. Don't think for a second that a builder is putting up their own money. It doesn't happen as often as we might think. Nobody wants to put their own money up, right? That they use leverage.
Even when they buy like sports teams and stuff, like most big guys, they're borrowing money.
They're all borrowing.
They're using other funds to, of course.
Because it's a write-off. That's what we try to tell you guys. It's a write-off. You need to borrow. For those of you guys still thinking like mom and dad, and they want to pay off their mortgage, it's a different time. It's a different time. Even us, our primary residents, it's a 2-year plan. 2-year plan. I'm going to bank 1.2 million. I'm going to sell that thing. I'm going to rent where I live, put that 1 million, spread it out, and pay for my cost of living, and that's it. Be financially free from our bills. That's a 2-year plan. It's not your mom and dad's market, and you want to get rid of your mortgage, and you want to, just save. And you can't save. No matter how much we're making, it's hard for us to save, depending on your lifestyle. But it's hard. It's hard for us to save these days with inflation.
What do you tell that newlywed couple that wants to get in the market right now that is struggling to find a house that they can afford?
Buy an investment property, rent where you want to live. That easy.
So like buy something like maybe even 45 an hour away, rent it out. So because chances are if they can't buy it in where
it's hard. Yeah.
So they're gonna buy a little bit maybe north or something.
Yeah. Now, like I understand now. Like when I bought that condo in Maple, it's worth about $650 today, but I bought it for $300. I get it. It's hard to come up with the 20% for $650.
Sure.
It's completely different. It's double, right? So at the end of the day, like go where the money is. So there's a lot of investment going to Barrie. There's a lot of investment going to Aurelia. There's a lot of investment going to Hamilton, Brantford. There's a lot of investment there. I own properties.
Even London was popular at one point.
There's so many markets. Compromise on where you want to buy. Change your mindset about what you're buying and why you're doing it. And then if you really need a place to live that bad, rent it. It doesn't pay. So let me give you just the math. The house we bought, it's a $2.1 million house.
Okay.
That house, I have a mortgage of $165. I'm very open about my situation.
Okay, cool.
I want to be like really real with you guys. And so is Sarah, my wife, Sarah. Shout out to Sarah. And $1.65 million mortgage. At today's rate, that payment with property tax is 12 G's a month.
Okay.
You could rent that house for $6.
Okay.
Why would I own it?
Right.
Now, here's the thing, though. I bought it. It's gone up $800K in value.
Correct.
I want it to go up another $400. If it goes up another $400 before my expenses and I could bank $1 million after my penalty to break my mortgage or commissions, 100%. Now, I don't have that payment anymore. I could go rent a lavish house for $6-7 grand a month here in Vaughan. Right. A much bigger house than I have. Sure. And then I have my $1 million base. My $1 million base, if I just put it in a pool that earn 10% a year, is $100K. It pays for itself.
And that's what a lot of people are starting to do.
That's numbers.
It's all
the right
numbers.
thing to do.
So you look at your real estate as like a stock, essentially. You're not attached to it. You'll get rid of it if it makes sense.
Bro, 100%. I'm not emotionally attached to anything.
Why do you think so many people are attached to it? Like
it's fear. It's fear based. It's like my parents. My parents lost
or you
everything.
think it's like memories and like they're like, hey, like I grew up here, like I can't get rid of it for that reason.
Yeah, people say that. But like, what do I care? Like, my whole life is a memory, right? Like, isn't life all about experiences? Like, make
Makes
new
sense.
ones.
Yeah,
upgrade.
100%.
What if overnight you could change your financial situation, bro? Like that. $1 million right there. No one could touch it. You're going to spread it out. You're going to put 100K in gold. You're going to put 100K in this. You're going to put 100K in that. What if overnight and that payment is gone? You could change it.
100%.
You do change. Go for it. It scares you. It's my parents' mentality. So my parents lost everything, came here as refugees, met here actually at their church, and same stories. A lot of people from our community have similar stories of how they fled. But when they came here, they finally got a house. They still have that house now, 23 years later. I would say they have about 1.5 million to 1.7 in equity.
Okay.
My parents never got into the business. They opened convenience stores. They did stuff like that. They were teachers in Iraq, but their credentials didn't transfer over. Sure. So they were forced to become entrepreneurs. They didn't do it because it was the cool thing to do. But they have that equity. So I go, Mom and Dad, Danny and I have moved out. Like, why don't you guys sell it? I'm not even emotional about that house. Like, we grew up in that house. Sure. I'm like, why don't you guys sell it? Okay, where are we going to go? Where are we going to buy? I go, you're not going to buy. You're going to rent. Rent. What are our friends going to say? This and that. I'm like, guys, who gives a shit? What do your friends say now? What do you care about them for?
Of course.
You take the 1.5 and I tell them, spend it. Don't even save it. We don't need a penny of that. Enjoy it. Or invest some of it, enjoy the rest of it. Like, enjoy your lives. You guys have to like run away from your country.
Sure.
I can't even fathom that. You know what I mean? So I tell them, but it's this mentality of, no, it's ours. We want to own it. We have it. We struggled to get here. Now we want to keep it. Right? So it's that mentality. And I tell people all the time, you guys are struggling for no reason. No reason. You can literally change it.
It's also because a lot of people, aside from the fear, they're just not educated. They have like a lot of, I guess, misrepresentation. Like, a lot of realtors don't know what we're even talking about.
Realtors is another story, bro.
Yeah.
Realtors, like, I told someone the other day, he's like, oh, but my cousin, he's going to charge me a lot less in commission. And, but we're going to go with you because my brother is your friend. I go, I appreciate that, but I'm just letting you know your cousin isn't the right guy for the job anyways. Like, right. I'm the right guy for the job. So it's not just about me being friends. You're hiring the right guy for the job. Like, the real estate profession, we're going to see the biggest change these next couple of years as volume stays low for everybody because there's 100%. Supply is the way it is. But we're gonna see a lot of people going back to becoming, model service girls, OnlyFans models, waiters, whatever the case may be. That's the truth. Because every Uber drivers, because you can't, like, it's the only profession. Like, when do you ever see an Uber driver who's a doctor? Oh yeah, it's my day off. I'm driving an Uber, but I'm a doctor at Humber River. So
no, never.
Anytime you need surgery, you come see me.
No,
bro, you'd be like, I pray I never need surgery with this guy.
Right.
Right? So, but real estate, we've become like the bottom feeders of everything. Oh,
I think that's why we have kind of a bad rap too.
Of course, absolutely. We have the bad rap because of those bad apples, right. But it's easier for us to capture more market share because of those people.
Yeah, because a lot of people, to be honest with you, and it sucks, and I'll be honest with you, like, when I look at doing a real estate deal, I feel like I'm actually in war. I'm fighting for my client. Yeah. Like, literally, I'm actually, we're not just, unless my client is like, I really don't want to lose this house, every time we're at war.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of realtors that are like, they don't do that. They're just like, okay, what do you want? Here it is. I'm taking my 2.5 and on their way. And then, like, it's like, this is the challenge that I see in the market. People look at their earned commission instead of the value of what their clients are buying or selling it for.
Yeah, absolutely. But so it'll be easy for us to, as time goes on, if we do the right things, to capture more business, because there's going to be a lot of people who leave the market. There's going to be a lot of people who are fed up with, dealing with bad realtors, dealing with bad brokers. There's going to be a lot of that coming. I'm talking to a lot of people now, especially builders. They're like, oh, but our in-house brokerage is just like basically the administration side. I go, exactly. I go, but that's not the value we're bringing to the table.
Right.
We do this and that. That's different. And so there's opportunities for the young guys. If we just put in a little bit of effort, like we could really dominate.
Do you like selling pre-construction?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. It's even 11 years later now in my career, it's still an easy way for people to, or an easier way to get into the market. So if you don't qualify for a mortgage today, get something that's pre-construction. It'll be ready in 3 years or so, and you could get the mortgage at that time. You don't even need the full down payment right now. You don't even need the full closing costs right now. You don't have to deal with a tenant right now. And I know people say, well, yeah, but I want to get a tenant right away and I want to start paying off the mortgage. And I'm speaking like that as I deal with mostly investors. I understand that, but you got to, if you can do that and you want to afford today's rates and get the mortgage and the down payment, all that, go for it. But the deals don't really make that much sense today in the resale market.
Are there properties right now or pre-constructions that you find value in? I myself tell all my clients, stay away from any project right now.
Why do you say that? From the perspective?
I think they're all overvalued.
Okay.
And when I say this word to you, tell me what you think.
Yeah.
Assignment sale. If a client brings you an assignment sale, you're probably telling them they're losing money right now if they bought it within the last 12 to 24 months.
Nobody that I'm working with is losing money. Okay. Nobody that I've been working with is losing money. Now, last year in 2022, we didn't really see a lot of like new housing starts, right? Like there were a lot of projects that were just put on hold because the rates were going up. But there are projects out there, like we're selling townhomes in Brantford at $500 a square foot. It cost the builder about $4.25 to build.
There's no way, bro.
Yeah, 100%.
There's no way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be a smaller builder.
No, big, average cost huge builder, 45 years in the business, and now they tied up.
How can it cost $400 a foot? The average cost is between $200 and $300 a foot for a builder.
No, you're talking about like hard costs. Well, there's the cost of land, there's the soft cost. Everything all in is about $400.
Holy moly.
400 and 425 even, some of them are saying to me. But these guys are selling it for $500 a square foot. The margins are so small. They're financing themselves.
And you think that's a
great buy.
But that's outside the GTA.
Yeah, Brantford.
I'm saying in anything in the GTA.
But Rob, how are prices going to come down? So let's look at it. There's the interest rate.
Yeah.
That automatically
I think the interest rate's automatic.
Yeah, automatic. There's the labor force. Most of those people that built these cities now have giant companies are all retiring. There aren't a lot of young people that are getting into trades. Therefore, we're bringing a lot of immigrants here. We need them for the labor force, but a lot of them are not skilled laborers. Right. They're not coming in and becoming, masonry or electricians or whatever, right? Well, we saw what Ford did, right? We're going to pay for your school to go become an electrician. We need it. So now what's going to happen with those trades? When there is going to be an influx of supply of builders wanting to build, we're not going to be able to build fast enough. Those trades are going to see that, and they're going to start raising their prices. All the unions are going to start raising their prices.
So you're going on the immigration factor as why we won't crash.
No, what I'm saying is like the cost to build. I don't see it coming down. I don't think it's overvalued. I just think that that's where it is. Just like in other major cities in like New York or London or Tokyo, that's just the way it is because we don't have the labor force that we need to build like scale.
Yeah.
The interest rates are high. The materials are what they are. It costs.
What about if I told you, and this is what Chris Guy told me on the first part.
Tell me.
33% is between fees and taxes. And that goes to the government.
I think it's actually closer to 43% from what I checked for development. So back to that. Taxes are going up.
Right.
So how can the price per square foot go down?
When we see maybe somebody on the right side of things that says, I'm going to bring the cost to build the taxes, cut that red tape down, maybe that's when we'll see a little bit of that price drop. Or the alternative is when people stop to buy. Right now, there's a stat that says our immigration applicants are down 54%. I know they're saying that they want 500,000 every year.
Yeah.
But we're down 54%, and I attribute that to the cost of living. People are coming here saying, I'm coming here for a better life, but they're out because they can't afford it.
Is that the number like coming into Canada or Ontario?
Into Canada.
So I think part of that could be because last year we overmet our number.
Yep.
So we were over the number of immigrants we were supposed to bring in.
True.
So I think it could be a balance of that. But at the end of the day, all these people need a place to live. And I think what's going to happen with a lot of the big builders, I think they're going to be heavily incentivized to build rental housing.
And that's what I think too.
Yeah.
I think a lot of these people are going to be renting.
But also when we're saying like stop from buying, like I always picture that scenario. Like what if the builder's not selling units? Well, it's a good question, but I think that if builders get smart, they're going to do two things. One, they're going to build rentals if they can figure out a way to get the financing, because it's such a different animal and beast. They have to put up a lot more money. But number two is they start getting a little bit more wiser with respects to the unit sizes that they're building. So everybody wants the 2-bedroom, everybody wants the 2+10, but it is what it is. It's more expensive because it's larger. We look at certain cities, like have you ever seen cage housing?
Yeah, of course.
That's disgusting.
This is what they're doing.
This is what they're doing. So
400 square feet seems to be like the norm right now.
Oh, 400 square feet. You're living in luxury. Like
right.
If you go into, which I don't think it is, but like if you look at it, there's places 200 square feet, studios 20 by 10. You know, and that's why I'm saying you don't have to own that. Why would you own that? Like it's such a silly thing to own. Rent where you live. Right. Own, put all your money. If you have $100K saved and you can't get that dream home because it's $1 million and you got to put minimum 20% down, 200K. All right, but you have $100,000. Make that work for you. That work for you and then rent where you live. Sarah and I rented where we lived while we have 21 properties in the portfolio. We rented where we lived until we got married.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and then we bought the house because I thought when I bought it, it was a good buy. Even at 2.1, I thought it was worth 2.4. And I was right. And then the price kept going up from there. Right. Little bit of, give me a 10% bump. If there's a little short-term spike, that thing's getting sold, buddy.
Yeah. It makes sense.
Because after 30 years, at an average rate of 6%, some years you might get 4 or 5, some years you might get 7, 8, I don't know. At an average rate of 6%, that house, with property taxes every year being the same, even though we know that's not true, they're going to go up in 30 years multiple times. That house cost me $4 million. So what am I going to sell that house for in 30 years? $5 million? Make $1 million then, but I've been stressing out with this payment when I can make $1 million now and not have the payment. 100%. Come on, guys.
Yeah, it's
guys. It's not hard to figure this out.
Do you consider yourself a shark?
No, I never bite anyone. I'm not aggressive. Quite actually on the opposite. You call me to do a deal, I'm the listing broker on the other end. Rob, this is what we need to make it work. Tell me, here's the truth, here's this, that. I don't bullshit.
Yeah,
I'm not a shark. I'm a straight shooter. But at the same time, I'm not the type of guy that has to wait till his phone rings. I'm going to pick up the phone. I'm going to do the things that I have to do. But I think that we should work well together. I don't think we should be adversarial, in many cases. And then I'll get the call from the broker who is like that, which I understand why you need to be sometimes. And then as soon as they talk to me, it's like, hey, bro, this is what you got to do. Bring me the deal. This is what the deal needs to be. And if it's not, I'm sorry. There's nothing we're going to be able to do. And I had those brokers who act like that, and they'll say, well, you got to show it to your client. Like, I am going to show it to my client. I have shown it to my client. This is what it is. I'm telling you how to do the deal. So I'm not a shark that it's like a dog eat dog sort of I'm not like that, but I'm definitely aggressive. I'm definitely have
Are you
goals.
Competitive?
Yeah, big time. Yeah, I'm definitely competitive. If I lose a deal, I'll be upset. I'll be my biggest critic of myself. What could I have done differently? But at the same time, I try to win that deal back. I exhaust every option.
That's good.
Yeah. But no malice. You shouldn't be malicious.
No, 100%. Yeah,
you shouldn't be like that. That's not, when you talk to all these big guys, they never did that. The ones that did that, they don't have peace of mind. If they made it, they don't have peace of mind. But the big guys, you talk to, I bet, David. He never had to crush somebody. In fact, people tried to crush him.
Right. Yeah.
You could see, even if we don't know him personally, you could tell. You don't get to that level and you're out there so much that you're not afraid of maybe someone, throwing that stone and breaking the glass.
If he told you right now, like, I know we got to get you to 250,000 followers. That's the objective. Guys, you guys really got to subscribe. Millennials Choice.
Yeah, Millennials Choice Show.
Let's get him to 250. I want to see this interview.
We're going to go to Miami. We'll do this interview right.
We're going to be in Miami too then. Let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to come as your audience.
Come. I already got a barber who's like, I want to be there. I want to cut your hair. I'm like, you should create content.
I think his office, it was told, is like 5 minutes from where our office is.
In Florida?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to come down.
We will. We're getting James's passport. It should be here on Wednesday.
Nice.
My son, because we're gonna bring him with us, man. He's along for the ride.
And you got to do some deals there. You gotta open up the Florida market.
Yeah. All right, you'll show me how to do that.
110%. Because everything you're saying, I'm just doing the numbers in my head. It's like you can buy. Let's say a person has $100,000. You can go buy a house in Florida with $100,000 down, pick up something for about $400,000.
Yeah.
And that property will actually pay you enough money where you could live for free here. You could rent a $3,000 townhouse in a nice area per month, and the income that you generate from there, instead of putting it at bank and getting your 8-10 points, or
you own a property.
You own a property.
So those properties there, how close are they to the beach, for example? That one that you're talking about.
So the 400. So this is going to be a little bit more north.
Yeah. Kind of like what Vaughan is to Toronto, or not really?
I would say similar to that, maybe about 30 minutes out.
Okay.
Yeah. And so each area, when you say you want to move to Florida, you got to figure out what it is you want. So this particular area is in Wellington.
Okay.
This is between the months of November to April. Every horse trainer, every horse jockey, the teams are down there. So they're paying because the whole team needs a house. Right. They're paying top money.
Right. See?
So your average, you're telling me $3,000 a month is what you need to rent. So $36,000 for the year.
Yep.
You're making that in 6 months, hands down.
Now, is that Airbnb or is it a different short-term rental?
That's a different market. Yeah. So it is a short term, but it's a 6-month term.
Yeah.
And these guys are paying cash 6 months up front. Americanos.
So 6 months, it would cost them how much?
So you're looking at about $5,000 a month.
So 30
grand for 6 months. Yeah. So that means you got to come up with $6,000 for 6 months.
Yep.
Come on.
Yeah, no,
hands down. So
there are opportunities. That's what I'm saying. Go look at different markets. There are opportunities. You don't have to be tied down to here. That's what my wife and I are on the same page about.
Yeah.
The house ties us down. It makes we're paying the bank $10,000 a month in interest. $2,000 of that goes. 10 is interest. 2 on top of that is principal.
Yep.
The heck is that? I pay the bank $120,000. Screw that.
Yeah, 100%.
I would rather make a landlord some more money. Right. I would rather give them $6,500, $7,000 than the bank 10, and not have that payment.
Yeah, if you watch the Grant Cardones of the world, they tell you buying a house is like a horrible idea. Yeah. They actually tell you to invest it and become that, and then do exactly what you're saying.
The difference is with those guys and what we do here is that obviously in America, your primary residence is not capital gains exempt.
Correct.
Right. So you have to pay capital gains. There is the 1031 exchange and all that stuff. But here we that $1 million that I'll bank, I'm keeping $1 million. Right. If I sell my primary residence. 100%. So although Grant Cardone might have said that was a stupid decision. But here's the thing though. I put up $450,000 and now I'm going to have $1 million. I doubled my money and then some. And now I have a base and I've gotten rid of that payment. So whatever payment I get now, I have the $1 million to figure that out.
Do you trust Grant Cardone?
Yeah, I trust Grant Cardone. Again, you can't make it that big in that space, man. That guy's getting audited every day. I guarantee you. He's too big. He's too out there with his stuff. He's too out there. They're auditing him every day. If there was something sus, 100% it would come out. Now, he's probably been sued. There's probably been deals that happen behind closed doors. But sometimes that's not done because he did something wrong. Sure. It's done just to move on. Right. Let's move on from it. But you don't get to 10. What is it now?
10 times, I think.
10 billion in assets under management. How do you get to 10 billion without as a guy? Obviously, as a big team, but as a guy who's out here. The one thing that you guys don't realize with Grant Cardone is, and I don't say this you might know this, but our audience is that when he's talking about sales and real estate, and he's selling you these courses, those businesses where he makes, I think, 80 million, 100 million a year from, those are helping him funnel his real estate activities because he has skin in the game in his own real estate deals. That's what the hidden secret is, where people are coaching the audience and saying, you could buy real estate and you could do it and it's so easy. No, it's not easy. Every deal you close is stressful AF. You got to get the home insurance, the lawyer, get the mortgage. Sometimes you're guy at the bank, girl at the bank, they don't respond to you for 8 weeks, and then they respond to you saying you're not approved. Then you're dealing with an appraisal. Then you're dealing with finding the deal, whatever. All these things. It's not easy, but when you close it, it's rewarding. It's rewarding when you close it. But what a lot of people don't realize is that, all right, if you're working a 9 to 5, there's 2 of you, maybe you could buy your first investment property. How do you buy the second one? Well, you could sell the first one if it does well, and then you buy the second one, but you pay taxes. You could refinance the first one, take some equity out, take your down payment out if the value goes up, and then go and buy another one. But then how do you get a mortgage? It's a little bit hard. It gets a little bit harder if your incomes are fixed.
So right now in the U.S. in particular, there's a lot more VTBs happening.
That's good.
A lot more. And I think you're going to start to see a lot more here too.
Yeah, so the hidden ingredient is you guys need to increase your income. Your income needs to go up. If your income doesn't go up and you're fixed, you're gonna be fixed in terms of also your options, what you can get.
Right. But a lot of people are capped, right?
They're capped.
When you work when you're a teacher.
Yep.
When you work at the grocery store, when you work at a bank, you're making 50, 60, let's say call it 70 grand a year.
Yeah, you're fixed.
Housing, the prices of the houses outpaced the amount of income.
Yeah, so this is another conversation that I'm a little bit more gentle with when it comes to career choice.
Right.
But again, why are you doing it? Why are you being a teacher? Let me just ask, because I have my Bachelor of Education. Okay. I went to Teachers College. I have my honors in law. I have my BEd from York. I had one of the most competitive Teachers College program. 1,400 students applied that year. Only 300 were accepted. I know what it's like. I love teaching. I don't like the career of a teacher in schools.
You mean you don't like the pay that the teachers get?
The pay is part of it because I think they're very underpaid, but I also think that the system itself is confining. So I had to do 3 years of placement in schools, and I hated it. I never had lunch in the staff room with those teachers. They're vultures. You ask them for the curriculum, they wouldn't give it to you. They act like they're commission based. Right. I'm like, bro, what are you guys like doing? Makes aren't you supposed to help? There's this weird feeling about the system of that, and especially what's going on in schools today. I could care less about ever wanting to be a teacher in the school system, but you could teach other ways. You could be a teacher, go work for a private school, get paid more. You could you could do tutoring. You could increase your income. You could start a YouTube channel and educate people. There's ways you can do it. My buddy who's a doctor, he works 2 shifts. I'm like, you're nuts, bro. He's 32 now, and he just became a full-time doctor.
Nice.
He went through so much schooling, so much isolation from his family, so much isolation from his friends, so much debt. And you need a second job, another second shift to keep up with your payments. And I'm like, why did you start a YouTube? I think
that's only temporarily. Like eventually he'll grow into the sunset and he'll make his
Eventually, but how do we know what tomorrow holds?
Right.
How do we know? There's guys that work 30 years and they retire and they die. We don't know. And I'm like, so why are you doing it is the question.
I think a lot of people are doing it for comfort. They're like, you're getting your 60, 70 grand a year. So you're content, right? Yeah. A lot of people are content and they're comfortable.
I've tried to think about that. I've tried to think about how that would work. I just don't see how that works.
I think realtors, I speak for both. I think we're too rewarded in a sense, to be honest with you.
You think so?
I think so.
I think we're under-rewarded.
I think we're too rewarded, to be honest.
Why do you think that?
Because like if you actually do, like there's a lot of mindsets from realtors. They're like, I'm just going to do 2 deals a year, make my 60, 70 grand. And they're like, the hours spent is maybe 40 hours to do the 2 deals.
Yeah.
You know, so from that mindset, and I'm not knocking realtors. I'm just saying to you, I think.
Oh, you're a realtor. I'm a realtor. We're just sharing ideas. Yeah.
I'm just saying, I think that, and then like, it's a pretty rewarding career.
So yes and no. So I agree with what you're saying. If you look at it like that, the number of hours per deal and then what your hourly wage would be, it's an insane number.
It's insane,
right? It could be an insane number, but then there's the other aspect to it of if we're doing the right things and we're taking care of our clients and we're, for example, spending, like not every deal is going to be that many hours. It could be a lot more. It could be a lot less.
Yeah.
So that mentality of like, this is how much we're getting compensated for the time. That's still the mentality that the other people have where it's trading time for money. I don't look at it like that. I look at it like, what value am I bringing you?
Right.
And if the value could be an absurd amount. Let me give you an example. That house that I sold that I got $600K for, my accountant saw it. He hit me with a $5,000 bill personally under Matthew Ablakan. So I call him. I'm like, buddy, I have to call. I have to negotiate. You're not going to get that removed. I don't care. So even if you give me a good price, where I'm like, oh, man, like you should have started higher, I'm still going to negotiate that price. But I call him. I said, what are you doing? 5,000. I go, I could have went to H&R Block and did this for $40 or went to someone else and did it for $1,000. Right. He said, but what do you mean? Look how much money I saved you. I'm like, I get that. I understand that. But that's how you're justifying it? Okay, good to know. So it has nothing to do with your time. In fact, if I get paid, like I've done some deals where maybe they only took 3 hours and it was a $50,000 commitment. But what I did for that person in those 3 hours, someone else couldn't do.
You're saying the value you provide.
It's the value.
110%. Yeah. I agree.
So there are deals, Rob, believe it or not, we do at 6% commission. There's assignments all day. You want access to my buyer pool. You want access to what I'm going to do, 6%. And if I double end it, 6%.
That's good.
There's no industry stat. When someone says, oh, you're double ending, I take so much flack from like realtors. Oh, you're double ending it though. Yeah. If I'm double ending it, now the liability's on me
100%.
With the buyer. If that seller was going to pay the buyer agent the 2.5, why wouldn't I get the 2.5? I'm doing the work for the buyer agent.
Correct.
You guys
100%.
You have to change how you think about things. Another example, rentals. What's the industry standard? Let's say together half a month for us, but total 1 month rent, right? We charge a month and a half.
Yeah.
Why would we get up to do it for half a month's rent? We're paying, okay, let's say we rent out a condo for $2,000. $1,000 stays with me, $1,000 goes to you. Yeah. $1,000 for me, I have the listing. As a broker of record, I have expenses that you wouldn't have as a regular realtor. Then I have marketing. So what am I going to pay for? What do you pay for photos? $200, $300 these days?
$350.
Okay, $350, right?
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden, that's
you're down $650.
You're down pretty much $650.
Plus you put $150, $200 just to like market it. You're selling $500.
Marketing, taxes, my time, my phone calls with that person, the amount of phone calls, the emails, making sure these extra forms the province makes us do to protect it is done. Making sure that you're going to do it right? Because I'm not 100%. A guy who could cut corners.
No,
I can't cut corners.
Whether it's $1,000 or $100,000, you're doing the work ethic.
Yeah,
it's like an athlete. You put in the time.
You put it in. Right. So I can't cut corners. So if I can't cut corners because I'm not wired that way, it needs to be worth my while. But here's what I do. Here's what I tell the client. To be fair, the next time around when you need a tenant, I'm going to have the photos already. So I'm going to go down to a month's rent at that time.
So if they do the next time 1 year and then
because my expenses are lower.
Sure.
Right?
Makes sense.
Right? It's so there you guys have to, if the realtors who are listening to this, I'm sure you have a lot of realtors listening to this, you have to start expanding your mindset about how you do business. You're a business. So there's expenses, there's income, there's time, there's energy, effort. These last 2 weeks I've been working every single day, Saturdays, Sundays included.
It's tough when you have a newborn too.
Yeah, it's tough on my wife. My wife has to deal with him. She knows
Does
that.
your wife work as well?
She works with me now. Yeah, she used to be a social worker.
Yeah,
and she'd come home. She's fixed on a government salary. Good job. I think it was for she's gonna snap on me, YMCA or CAMH, one of them.
Okay.
She had a good gig, good gig, benefits and everything. She'd come home. She'd be working on a case file, and I'm working as well. But I ask her, are you getting paid now as you're doing this work at home at 6 p.m., 7 p.m.? No, they don't have the budget to hire another person. Oh, they have the budget. They just don't want to hire another person. They want you to do it until they absolutely have to hire a new person or until you leave. After months of this, actually years of this, she comes to me and goes, I'm done. I'm quitting. Do you have space at Millennials Choice for me? I said, I always wanted you to work with me. I just didn't want to take you away from your career. And then when we're 40, you're that bitter. I don't know. I watch too much movies or whatever. You're bitter and you go cheat on me or you go to the clubs or you go do whatever. I said, I don't want that. I'll be honest with you. I said, so you're coming to me. You're making that decision. You better not have any regrets about it. She doesn't have any regrets about it.
Do you guys ever fight when you're working together?
Never. We literally, at the dinner, I can honestly say never. The only time we fight is if we fight outside of work and then at the office. It's just we're not as conversational, but I'll be honest with you, we're never as conversational. When we have dinner together, we'll say, how was your day? at the office. We don't even talk. We're not even in the same room.
A lot of people, it's hard to work with. Like, bro, I won't let my wife come work here. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Like, no, you have a job at home. It's a tough gig. Watch the kids.
Yeah.
But I don't need to. We have a different mindset.
It's different. It's completely understandable. Like, I work with my brother too. That's not easy either.
You fight with him?
All the time. I fight with Danny. All the time. And not as much anymore in terms of like work. It's more about like just being brothers. But when he was younger coming into it, and he was making a lot of the mistakes I made, and he wouldn't ask questions or, he wasn't as coachable. And he admits this like on our podcast, right? So I could speak about it. He's not in the room, but he just wasn't as coachable.
I'm going to get him on the podcast.
Get him on. So the reality is I can't fire him.
Is he a partner with you?
Yeah, they're all partners with me. Yeah, my wife, everyone's a partner with me. Everybody's a partner. If Millennials Choice sells one day.
I think you just want to go home to a nice bed. Like, you don't want to. Imagine you had to go home and see your brother. You'd probably not want to fight as much at work, no?
It's not like that. Like, we have such a good relationship that it's like, bro, we could literally throw hands.
It's the Arab thing. I'm telling you. I swear to you, it's
normal.
actually an Arab trait.
Yeah.
Yell, blow up, fight. Yeah. 2 minutes later, like, hug, we're good. Let's go for lunch.
You see all these signs that you go into places these days where it's like, what does it say? If you're aggressive or some sort of behavior, I forget.
We have the right not to serve you or something.
Yeah, but what's the word? Is it aggressive behavior or something like this, something right? Like that. If you guys went to the Middle East and tried to negotiate a deal with them, you would cry. Right. People would cry because it's literally like you think hands are about to get thrown and all of a sudden they shake hands and do a deal.
Yeah.
That's just normal. That's the bazaar. That's how things are. And
I think that's part of the mindset that we've been brought up on. Like, go all in for your clients.
Buddy, I'm here to do a deal. I'm here to make a deal. I'm the right guy. I'm whatever. My clients are the right buyers.
Do you ever look at listings when you see a house that's sold or is purchased and you're like, damn, these guys got ripped off?
All the time, yeah. 100%.
And you're like this is why they should have called me. Like, I would have saved them or I would have got them more money.
Yeah. The thing is, it's like you're not in that situation to know the context, but sometimes you could see stuff and say, totally. Like, there's like buildings I follow, you follow certain areas, whatever. And I'm like, I saw the other day, someone rented out, and it's a Vaughn realtor too. And when I see them, I know them. I'm going to tell them, why'd you do that? But
you'll call them out too?
Yeah, because I know them. It's like if I knew, like you and I'd say, Rob, why'd you do? What happened here, right? Like, tell me, so I know because I have clients in there. But like, they rented out a unit that was like $300 below what it should have got. The proof in the pudding is that I listed the same unit and I got $200 more just a week later than they listed it. So I'm like, why'd you do that? You shot the build, like you screwed up the building comparables, right? So sometimes I see that and I'm like, why did they do that? I don't understand. But 100%. But maybe there was something that happened there, like a deal that the numbers still made sense. I don't know.
Wait till you hear this. We're starting a new show, a content show. It's going to be the worst buys and the worst sells of the week.
That's good. That's good.
Rico told me not to do it because they don't want
Rico.
But I think we have to get going soon. I'm going to ask you one more question.
Yeah.
How hard is it to talk real estate with a realtor that cannot speak English? How many deals have you done with those?
Okay,
agents?
so I'm going to, not many, but I do have a soft side to me. Like, I was in line the other day at Costco. This old lady was in front of me. She didn't have a buggy. She needed a buggy. So she just said, can you like hold my spot, but in a weird way, but I understood what she was saying. I said, yeah, absolutely. Now we're almost at the front. We're in the return section at Costco. And as she gets the buggy, I'm watching her come in from the little door. And the people are looking at her, but she doesn't know how to say excuse me. She doesn't know the culture here. And they're not letting her in. They think like maybe I don't know what they thought, but they weren't letting her in. So I wave her in. I go, come. And they let her in. Now, the guy behind, one of the guys that was a few steps behind me goes, I don't understand. You can't say excuse me. He starts talking to a young guy. And this is an old lady, like our grandma's. Okay. So automatically I have a sensitivity to that. But I turn around and go, hey, she's not from here. She doesn't know English. She doesn't speak English. She's a Ukrainian immigrant. Okay? She's a Ukrainian immigrant or refugee. She doesn't speak English.
How did you know that? You asked her?
Because I asked her. She said me Ukraine.
Okay.
That's what she said, literally. I'm like, yeah. So I'm like, so just chill out. I say that because my parents were refugees.
Right.
My parents didn't know the language. They lost everything. They had to burn their family photos. They had to, leave, flee. So I have that sensitivity when it's a new agent who may not have the language skills. Because for all I know, they're trying to build a better life for them and their family.
Right.
So I'm a little bit more patient, but I understand when I talk to them that there's no deal here. So I still talk to them and give them the info and I help them, but I know they're not going to be able to translate that to their client. And I know there's not going to be a deal. So I haven't done many of those, but when they talk to me, yes. I used to, when I was younger, be like, gosh, get a translator or something, but now I'm like, no, I understand. What if they're trying to do something and it's hard for them? You're going to be the Canadian who is born here, who has everything in his ability to succeed, and you're not going to help them, you're not going to give back. So I look at it that way.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
No,
You never know what people are going through.
It's nice that when you can see another point of view, and then you like saying it like that. It's like, okay, now it changes as opposed to, hey, these people are just trying to
waste time.
Why
are you in the industry? Well, it's like, well, how do they get a head start?
100%.
How are they going to get ahead?
100%.
So maybe they're good people. Maybe they're genuinely great people. They're not trying to do anything wrong. They just don't know the language.
110%. Well, Matt, listen, I appreciate you doing this.
Part 2 soon?
Part 2,
Yeah.
Let's do it. With your brother.
Did an hour already go by?
Yeah, it flew.
What?
But listen, we want to get to see that Bet David podcast.
Yes.
We have to get 250,000 subscribers. Guys, like and comment on this podcast, and then follow Millennials Choice. Follow Matt. Amazing podcast, guys. You're going to love it. And then I appreciate you doing this.
Thank you. Yeah, and shout out to you guys. So, part 2 very soon.